I think the writers made a very smart choice in taking the story from the world of daytime drama into the world of Broadway and Broadway musicals. Obviously, speaking just departmentally, I was thrilled with that decision. And it gave me the opportunity to create some shows within the show, Broadway shows that, Dorothy is in, that Dorothy improves, and a really exciting opportunity to create choreography that sucks, and then hopefully choreography that is good. And with a keen eye, I hope, on what the show is, which is just extremely funny.
Larry Gelbart was an idol of mine. That whole Neil Simon, Larry Gelbart, Woody Allen, that whole era of writers in comedy inspired me to be a writer. And so what I really wanted to do was make sure it was my own, but pay tribute to and keep the DNA of what he did in the movie. There really was no formula. We worked together on everything. It was a true collaboration in every sense of the word. And most of the time it was just us laughing and coming up with ideas and saying, okay, we probably can't do this, and turning that into an idea.
When I think about the kind of composers that I admire, film composers or theater composers, I love the ones who seemingly can do anything, like Elmer Bernstein for film, or Jerry Goldsmith, and for theater, people like Frank Lesser who could go between genres. It's also, I get a little bored of my own work, and when I feel like I'm repeating myself, it just feels kind of gross. Not to say I don't repeat myself, I do. This was one of those shows where just everything that was in there, everything from Latin music, Afro-Cuban, all the jazz stuff, all the theater stuff I know, and a lot of rock stuff too.
What was the biggest challenge for you in designing the wigs for Tipsy?
The fastness of changing from a male person to a female. And that's pretty, there's the dress, there's the nails, there's the makeup, all in 7 seconds. You can hardly believe that, can you? And of course the wigs get changed throughout the whole production. Sometimes they're thrown across the stage, and he takes them off on stage and puts them on himself on stage, which is unusual, of course.
Staying out of the way and staying true to the story, just making sure I'm supporting the text first. I think the text is what's dominating, obviously. My music is literally there just to either tie things together, elicit some sort of emotion, or just bring a smile, bring a frown, whatever needs to happen in that moment. The storytelling is the key.
It's before I became a drama critic, Beetlejuice was already in its sort of nascent stages, so it was actually something I disclosed when I became a drama critic. That's how long it takes to make one of these shows. It grew out of Alex Timbers approaching us. He had directed a show of ours called Gutenberg the Musical back in Paleolithic times, and then he came to us and said, hey, you guys want to do Beetlejuice? And we were very, very excited. And then the drama critic thing came along, and I did that, and Beetlejuice was still kind of cooking slowly in the background the whole time. And now here we are.
It's a complex and distinct art, and what I did in both those shows was fight direction but also intimacy direction, which is a relatively new discipline that we've introduced to the industry. And it's about creating a safe space so that actors can do their best work. And it's complex, it's physical, it's choreography, and making it look real every night. It's making sure that it looks risky and dangerous and is completely safe.
I felt like whenever you deal with Tim Burton, you've got to honor it. You have to really understand where the visual vocabulary came from, and you've got to try your best to, do the best you can to keep up with that guy. I will say that we are doing not Beetlejuice the movie, we're doing Beetlejuice the musical, and so what we try to do is take like all of the Tim Burton movies and kind of mash them up into one thing. We got a Little Nightmare Before Christmas, we got some Edward Scissorhands, we have some Coraline. You have to kind of honor his work.
It took a while for everyone to sort of get on the same page and realize, what the direction we were going in was, and it was a hard process. It's tedious to, articulate every single movement in the way that was needed. But I think after some time, everyone got on the same page, and we all ended up working well together.
I was interested in two main things. You know, the main thing was, of course, supporting the story, telling the story through the bodies, so that the story was always being told. And the other was really listening to the music as deeply as possible. I just love the music, and I wanted a chance for everyone to feel the funkier side of the music as well. The choreography had to be very physical, very grounded, and we wanted to see effort. But we didn't have any tools. We couldn't do any pantomime, so the choreo had to be abstracted, all the work material. So it's really felt in the body and in the backs.
You know, we did it with some students at BARD in 2007, and you know, I think if I really know why I'm doing something, there's probably no reason for me to do it. It was a kind of instinct. I said I want to do Oklahoma, and then when I got into it, I started to realize there was a lot more to the material than I thought was there. And I was always pretty interested in the idea of food, and if there was some similarity between people gathering for a meal and people sitting down to see a show. I learned the piece is, you know, amazingly generous, that it's incredibly layered, that there's a complicated story about the nature of community and the role of the outsider, and that this keeps revealing itself to me.
And so when we were writing, we wanted to write about heavy issues. We wanted to write about anxiety and depression and all these sort of big things through the lens of teen sci-fi comedy. And so for us, it was a surprise that young people loved it so much. We always thought, the show had the opportunity to be in front of young people. We think they'll like it, but I mean, the first audiences that saw it and fell in love with it were regional theater audiences that were 60 plus, and so we always knew that the bones of the show was pretty traditional musical comedy.
This show has so gone against the grain of how shows get the Broadway, the mainstream, the way they happened. That not literally, if you had asked me if I was going to be standing here doing this interview 4 years ago, probably would have said that you were off your rocker. But shit, here we are. It's so hard to gauge what's going to do that, and I'm just really glad this can be a thing that engages so much passion with young people and brings them to the theater.
It's very surreal, the first time we put up the show, we were in the back room of Don't Tell Mama in Midtown, and to 3 years later be doing press at the DRAMA Desk is pretty crazy. Surrounded by people I've looked up to for a long time, and people who I didn't even know before this season, but whose performances and work has just blown me away.
And that's what's been so touching about this show, is that kids are coming up to actors at the stage door saying, I feel heard. I feel like someone sees me. I see myself on stage, and that matters. And I think it makes them feel less alone. And another thing that's happened a lot is kids have come up and said, I'm in the closet. That's my mom over there. And because of the show, I'm gonna come out to her. And so we thought of it as a frothy comedy, and now all of a sudden these people are just being so moved and feeling healed in a way that we could have never guessed.